Need me, will you still feed me when I'm 64?
Good morning and welcome to the Senior Hour, which is sponsored by Comfort Keepers in Home Care, Advanced Audiology, and Santa Clarita Hearing Center. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host,
Dorio,
on your hometown station 98.1 FM, AM 1220 KHTS. This is a show for, about, and by seniors, giving information to enhance one's quality of life. And speaking of quality of life, the one and only Dr. Thomas Polucki, a local chiropractor, is here. How are you doing?
Good, good. Thanks for having me back.
Yes.
Hey, Thomas.
Hey, Doc.
So what is our subject today?
Well, something you know a little bit about.
Yes.
Neuropathy.
Uh-huh.
And how we're turning this whole thing around for our patients, something kind of unique and special. I mean, if you're still suffering with neuropathy, especially if one or more medications hasn't worked, you're really going to want to listen to this show.
Okie dokie. Let's go.
So, Barb, we know that
neuropathy is.
Okay, so neuropathy is a general term, and it's just most simply, it's some kind of problem with nerves. But specifically, we're talking about peripheral neuropathy. There are many causes. One that Barbara knows quite a bit about is chemotherapy often causes neuropathy. It's one of the main causes. But the main cause right now is diabetes. So diabetes also does the same kind of damage to nerves. And there are other causes as well. But it doesn't really matter what caused the neuropathy. More importantly, it's what does it take in order to heal a nerve. And unfortunately, so many of the medications out there aren't designed to actually heal a nerve. They're just designed to treat the symptoms, to help manage with the pain, manage with the tingling, manage with the burning pain, the electric pain, the shooting pain, that pretty much any time a nerve is damaged, depending on how it's damaged, it can exhibit any one of its functions, and there are different nerves that cause different kinds of problems. We'll get to that a little bit in the show, maybe to give you a better idea of why it's a good idea to start talking the language of the nerves instead of trying to stifle them, trying to not pay attention to what they're trying to tell you. Because depending on what kind of a symptom you have, whether it's loss of balance, a shooting pain, a stabbing pain, a burning pain, or your skin is starting to break down.
Tingling.
And tingling.
Yes.
Different nerves are being affected, and you have to treat them differently. However, there are some basics as far as giving a nerve what it needs to be healthy, and that's where we really come in and do such a great job with turning these neuropathies around. I've had patients who have been on medications for decades, and they still have the same problem. You know, the drugs that they take do allow them to have less pain in their life and maybe even sleep better. However, they have to take the drugs all the time, and the symptoms are no better than when they started. So that's pretty commonplace because the medications are designed to manage the symptoms, and often they work, but it doesn't help with what's really important, the rest of their life.
Okay.
Right.
Now,
sometimes
what happens?
There are side effects to the medication as well.
Yeah.
That they're taking, and that's the unfortunate part of this. We attempt to improve the symptoms, which we can do a little bit, but you're exactly right. We're not solving the problem, and it perpetuates this whole idea of taking drugs, and the problem itself is not rectified.
And one big important factor, especially right now, is that the CDC just put out a warning about all the different kinds of neuropathy drugs out there right now, that they actually increase the risk of respiratory distress. Anybody who's prone to that, or anybody who's in the high-risk category for COVID.
Okay, now exactly, it's a problem with the nerves. what happens to those nerves? Are they cut off? Are they squashed? Or what's going on?
Well,
how do they get damaged?
It depends on what kind of neuropathy you're talking about. That's an excellent question. So in the case of chemotherapy, they're not cut off, they're just chemically damaged. The protective coating on the nerves is broken down by the chemotherapy. The chemotherapy doesn't just kill the cancer. It does damage in different parts of the body as well.
It certainly does.
The same thing with high blood sugar. High blood sugar, when your diabetes is out of control, can cause that same kind of damage to the protective coatings on the nerves. And think of it in terms of a frayed wire. As soon as that wire doesn't have the insulation anymore and you touch it, you're going to get a shock. The same thing's happening in your nerve system. So as soon as that protective coating on the nerve is broken down by whatever, whether it's chemotherapy, whether it's too much sugar in your blood, or a virus, or a vaccine, these are all common things that contribute to peripheral neuropathy. And no matter what, if you don't give the body what it needs to start repairing, to start rebuilding that protective coating on those nerves, or rebuild new nerves to replace the old dying damaged nerves, give the oxygen, give the nutrition, give the circulation, take pressure off of the nerves, because all of those things will contribute to neuropathy. If you don't give the nerves what they need to heal. Like, imagine a seed in the ground. If you don't give it water, if you don't give it fertile ground, if you don't give it nutrition, it's never going to pop up through the ground. And if it does, once it does, if, let's say, there's a rock right on top of where that nerve is, that seed is trying to pop out of the ground, it's going to have a hard time, if ever, to reach the sunlight and start photosynthesizing so that it can maintain the life. Same approach goes to repairing damage in the skin, in the nerves, in the blood vessels, which are all part of the peripheral neuropathy problem. If you don't give the body what it needs to repair those tissues, all you're ever doing is buying some temporary relief, but you're buying it at what we now refer to as a predatory lending rate, because those tissues continue to break down, and all you're doing is covering up the real issue, which is that those nerves, those blood vessels, and those skins are continuously breaking down, eventually beyond repair.
Very interesting.
And the difficult part, though, is that sometimes for whatever the etiology for the peripheral neuropathy, sometimes the damage is done. Now, we don't really always know that the damage is done, that it's not reversible. So some of this, we can try to recoup what's left and prevent any further deterioration. And the other side of the coin is treatments that don't have major side effects, that minimize the discomfort, allowing the person to have less pain and get back close to their normal quality of life.
Absolutely. So yeah, unfortunately, it can get to a point where the tissue is too broken down and it can't repair. But we've seen some pretty amazing things. Even when the skin has broken down and ulcerative, we're able to do that with the red light that you love so much. The red light does a big thing. That, just like a plant makes, when it's hit by ultraviolet light from the sun, it photosynthesizes into things that help build and repair the plant. Your skin does the same thing with certain wavelengths of red light, that it photosynthesizes two really key ingredients, two really powerful medicines inside your body. And those two things, one is called nitric oxide, and there was Nobel Prize-winning research on how nitric oxide heals just about any tissue, especially the heart. That's a whole nother conversation, but definitely helps increase circulation, increase blood flow through damaged tissues to improve the area. perfuse the area, which is critically important to any repair process. And secondly, the other one that is even less commonly known about is something called VEGF, vasoendothelial growth factor. I know that's way too much information, but this thing, this chemical, which is a natural chemical in your body, is how new blood vessels grow. This is a chemical that your body produces. It's not something that we're putting in it. It can't be synthesized outside of the body. But this chemical that your body makes when it's exposed to this light actually grows new blood vessels even in damaged tissues. And that's critical for any tissue to heal or repair.
Interesting.
Especially in terms of diabetics,
sure,
who have small vessel disease.
Yeah. And
the small vessel disease ends up contributing to the beginnings of peripheral neuropathy, and then the pain cycle begins. So you're right. We need to be able to stimulate that growth of the vasoendothelial growth factor. In doing that, we could diminish the breakdown of the nerve and therefore stave off symptoms.
Absolutely. But more importantly than just managing the symptoms, our approach is designed to give you a self-caring plan of repair. Do everything we can with better nutrition to reduce the inflammation, to improve the circulation and oxygenation of those tissues, to detoxify from the damage. Even if you're not exposed to any environmental toxins, which is another cause, chemotherapy, environmental toxins can break down the nerves. Even if you're not exposed to any of that, a lot of the processes going on inside your body are toxic. Your body is designed to deal with it. The liver is one of the main detoxifying organs. The skin is a detoxifying organ. Your lungs are a detoxifying organ. So we do have a detoxification system in our body that is actually very remarkable. But we need to support those things. We need to give the liver all the help that it can get instead of compound the problem by tying up the detoxification pathways in the liver with even more chemicals trying to treat the symptoms.
Can you elaborate a little bit more, Thomas? I think an important part of what we've talked about before in the past is the exposure that we get from our environment, and of course, chemotherapy, and drugs and things like that. But I think, and you and I and all of us, have talked about this, that there's chemicals in the food. Sure. And eating the right food in the right way and reading labels is important. Can you clarify and help our listeners understand that a little?
Absolutely. So the main audience listening to this, seniors, even within your lifetime, there have been an additional 250,000 chemicals dumped into our environment, in our food, in our water, in our air, that didn't exist when you were born. And we have no idea what they do. Only 80,000 of them have been researched enough to have some kind of idea about what the long-term effects are going to be on living systems. But and that news is not great. What we do know about the 80,000 is not great. And still, there's this ongoing push of better living through, this miracle drug or this miracle pesticide or this miracle herbicide or this miracle whatever, trying to make your life better. Just simple plastic alone. Believe it or not, every single piece of plastic that has ever been created on this planet is still in existence. It has a half-life of 500 years. We're not going to see the first piece of plastic dissolve on this planet for another several hundred years. It's insane. So plastics alone, as you tap the sneeze guard that we're all required to have these days. Here's my biggest concern. I am absolutely endorsing the CDC guidelines about wear a mask and wash your hands and all of those things. But I'm concerned about these disposable masks that I see in the gutter now. I see on my hikes, out in the middle of nowhere, 3 miles from the closest street, up in these trails in the mountains, I'm seeing discarded face masks.
Absolutely.
And it's so disgusting. And these things are not going to break down for 500 years because they're mostly plastic.
It's amazing. I know. Even when I'm driving around, they're all over in the gutter, on the sidewalks.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, what happens? Do these people go outside, wear them, take them off when they go in the house, and throw them away?
I don't know.
I don't understand that.
Let's give everybody the benefit of the doubt and say that it just fell out of their pocket or something like that. But still, I mean, this is a real problem. This is a real problem that's going to be with us much longer than COVID-19 will. This is going to be for hundreds of years. We're going to be cleaning up all of these disposable masks.
Why can't we recycle better? I don't get it.
I don't know. Plastic doesn't recycle that well. There are some plastics that recycle better than others, but that's a main issue. And nobody wants a recycle center in their town because it's such a dirty, nasty business. Most of our stuff is sent over to China, where they have very little, if any, environmental regulation. And you can see the pollution plumes coming out of certain areas of China that are heavily involved with this stuff. It's a nasty, nasty business.
You're right, because that happened when I was in China. It was terrible. It really was. And the places we went, though, the cities were required to keep the places clean. I mean, you would have people washing the sidewalks to keep it clean, to help keep the environment clean. But nevertheless, you could still see all the muck in the air. It's unbelievable. And we need to take a break, don't we? Okay. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, 98.1 FM and AM 1220 KHTS.
At Advanced Audiology, we know how important hearing is to you, your loved ones, your work success, your safety, and your ability to stay in the game. Most people won't admit hearing loss to themselves or others. We make it easy for you. Today's digital hearing aids come in a variety of styles, including invisible. All feature-rich, providing unparalleled hearing quality, wearing comfort, and automation that simplifies your life. Don't be fooled by our imitators. There's only one Advanced Audiology with the purple sign next to AAA on Valencia Boulevard.
Hi, Kirk Stinson here with Plumbing by Kirk, your hometown plumber. With another tip, close your sink drain and remove your expensive jewelry when entering the shower to avoid costly plumbing expenses. But if it does happen, shut off the water immediately and call Plumbing by Kirk.
We invite you to visit our website for free plumbing advice at plumbingbykirk.com or give us a call, 263-6519. That's 263-6519.
My dad is the best plumber ever. Call Plumbing by Kirk.
Been a long day. You've been working hard. You know what you need? A nice home-cooked meal. Family-owned and operated restaurant Bella Cucina has provided the Santa Clarita Valley with authentic Italian cuisine for over 10 years. Bella Cucina now offers Italian Sunday brunch to the neighborhood from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., all for $6.99 to $11.99. Relax inside their charming restaurant, at the bar, or on the patio to eat, sip on bottomless mimosas, and watch sports all year round. Bella Cucina, off Seco Canyon and Copper Hill.
Hey, it's Aaron from the afternoon show. Just wanted to pop in and encourage everybody to shop local and eat local in Santa Clarita today. It's more important now than ever. Many of the employees and many of the owners impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic are our friends and neighbors, so our support is more critical now than ever. Let's try dining al fresco. I mean, it's fun just to say, hey, I went out to a restaurant. Guess what? I dined al fresco. Order takeout and delivery. Take advantage of curbside services and more. Countless local businesses throughout Santa Clarita have improved safety and sanitation measures to ensure the protection of staff and patrons. So let's do our part, Santa Clarita. Let's shop local. Let's eat local today. Learn more at visitsantaclarita.com.
We all know sometimes people lose their way. If you or someone you know is struggling with addiction, the Way Out Recovery SCV may have the answers you've been waiting for. The Way Out is the premier intensive outpatient treatment center serving Santa Clarita. Asking for help is the first step. Call The Way Out today, 661-296-4444. That's 296-4444 for a private free assessment. The Way Out is an accredited, affordable outpatient program that accepts most insurance. Call us at 661-296-4444 or check us out online at thewayoutrrecoveryscv.com. Quit battling with yourself. Ask The Way Out for help today.
Your hometown station.
Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64?
Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220, KHTS. And we're speaking with Dr. Thomas Polucki, a local chiropractor who does more than chiropractic.
Yeah. In fact, mostly the way that things are moving right now, we're doing most things virtually now. We still have a lot of patients who come to the office, but this epidemic has scared a lot of people to not want to go to the doctors. I had a patient who was in a bad car accident, wouldn't go to the hospital, and wouldn't go see a doctor for several days because she was scared of getting exposed to COVID. But we're taking extra precautions. I've set up an appointment where they're going to be the only people in the office, and they're going to be taken care of. But beyond that, I'm creating a virtual practice where I'm teaching my patients how to take care of them at home. Some of it using the technology that you like, the red light, and that massager that you like so much. Mm-hmm. The way that we use that massager is not typical. It's not just, pound on some muscles and feel better. We're using that very specifically, almost like acupuncture.
Are you talking about the vibrator?
Yeah, the thing you love so much on your neck.
Oh, yes.
So we're actually treating the injuries in your neck, the arthritis in your neck, the tension in your muscles, the tension on your nerves that contribute to neuropathy. With that, and I am creating online courses of how to learn how to specifically treat these things yourself, because I believe that eventually there's going to be something even worse than COVID-19. As bad as COVID-19 is, I think this is just really a shot across our bow. Whatever this is not the last time that we're going to be dealing with something like this. And I think it's going to get to the point where a lot of the things that we take for granted are going to go by the wayside. So I'm creating ways for people who want to get relief without taking medications, or the medications didn't work for them, ways to treat themselves at home. Obviously, the red light with a little bit of instruction can be done at home.
Oh, yes.
There's another technology that we didn't use with you because you responded so well to the red light. But there's another technology called Rebuilder that's used in pretty much every cancer treatment center in America. Sloan Kettering, the Cancer Treatment Centers of America, all of them, that actually helps the nerves relearn their normal function. It's an amazing piece of technology, and it's designed for home use. So there's that, and then the showing people how to use the vibrator the way that we use it in our office. We call it NeuroPoint because it is designed to take the tension off of the joints, off of the connective tissues, to give the nerves a chance to heal and recover from injury. And then very specific dietary guidelines as far as reducing inflammation in your body, improving oxygenation and circulation.
Stay away from red meat.
Well, there's believe it or not, there's worse things out there than red meat. Now, I'm a vegetarian, so I don't want to send any mixed signals, but there are many things out there that are more inflammatory than red meat. And it's surprising what it is for a lot of people. A lot of people, sure, they know that they shouldn't drink alcohol or they shouldn't have deep fried fast foods. And they know, well, I know I shouldn't, but I'm going to anyway, because they don't really believe the risk is there. But here's the big twist on this. Things that are promoted as healthy cause a lot of people much more serious problems. For instance, more whole grains can actually be throwing gas on the fire of neuropathy. For so many people, it's a highly inflammatory food for a large group of the population, even if you don't have a gluten problem.
How does the public find out whether their body is reacting or getting inflamed because of some whole grain?
So we have a test. It's part of our program. I can probably have it available online shortly for free. I'll have to make a special link for that, where you take your resting vitals. Pretty simple. You have to be sitting ideally for 5 minutes with no distractions. Most people won't. And I have found through doing this for the past 12 years that the whole 5 minutes isn't really necessary for most people. If you can sit calmly for 3 minutes, you can get a pretty good beat on this. So you take
Yes, when you say resting vitals, so our listeners know, you mean like the pulse, your temperature, things like that.
Yes. So temperature is one step beyond. You can actually monitor temperature too. It is not as quick a response, but a simple home blood pressure cuff, and they're so common these days, will give you everything you need because it's going to give you your systolic, your diastolic, and your pulse. So that's pretty simple, and most seniors have one of these in their house at this point.
Yep, already.
So you take your resting vitals, and you should only take resting vitals, by the way. So you should be sitting for 3 minutes without any distractions. Take your resting vitals, and then you have one type of food. For me, I always like to test lemons first, and I'll tell you why in a second. But I like to test lemons first. I know, Dr. Dorio, you asked about grains. Grains are complicated because most grain products are never one particular grain. They're usually a blend of grains.
Combination, yeah.
So it's complicated, applying scientific method to this. But something like a lemon is an easy test. And the reason I like to test lemons first is because I like to slice lemons very thinly, put them in my water with a pinch of salt and a pinch of sugar to give you a really healthy version of Gatorade to drink throughout the day. It actually makes water better, a better hydration than just water either out of the tap, or, believe it or not, bottled water is actually even less hydrating because the more they purify it, the more it pulls the electrolytes out of your body instead of putting electrolytes into your body.
Now, when you say adding a pinch of salt, do you use sea salt?
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
Okay, that's what I thought.
So a pinch of sea salt, a pinch of table sugar. You can spend a little bit extra and buy dextrose online. But it's really not that necessary. Table sugar's close enough to what your body really needs. And I'm not one of those people that are like, oh, table sugar is Satan. It just is so abused in this culture. The average American has 150 pounds of sugar a year. Now, the signers of the Declaration of Independence may have had 10 pounds of sugar a year. So in the past 200 and change years, the sugar consumption has increased tenfold.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an issue. But sugar itself is not evil. I mean, you need sugar in your body. A certain amount of sugar is absolutely required. It's just that we're so overloaded with it. That's when the problems start.
Well, a lot of fruit has a lot of sugar.
Yes. So I personally am cautious with fruit. I love fruit. Fruit is good for you. I believe any natural food is actually good for you as long as you don't abuse it. It's the constructed foods that you really need to limit extremely. Stuff that wouldn't exist outside of a laboratory, essentially, which is pretty much all convenience foods.
And then the additives that they put in things to preserve, to enhance color, give it some flavor. Those are the things as well that you're talking about that are not normal. They're not natural.
No. And at best, in the best case scenario, it just ties up a critical detoxification pathway in the liver. So one of your main ways that you get bad stuff out of your body is going to be burdened by having more processed foods. That's the best case scenario. The worst case scenario is they're straight up poison. They can be neurotoxins. They can damage your nerve system. They can damage your kidneys. They can damage your digestive tract. But even if they don't, they're definitely creating a harder job of keeping your system running clean.
Well,
and we really want our listeners to look processed foods up. Because if we were to go through and mention all of them, Barbara, Thomas, if we were to do that, we'd get lawsuits. They'd be coming after us right away.
Yeah, here's the simplest rule of thumb. When you go shopping, stick on the sides of the store. Do not go into the aisles. As long as you follow that rule, you're going to be in good shape. Because what's on the sides of the stores? The produce, the fresh meats, the fresh vegetables, the fresh fruits,
That's true.
the unprocessed baked goods. But as soon as you start putting stuff on the shelves that has to stay on the shelves for weeks to months, from the time that it's manufactured to the time that it's consumed, then you start worrying about, how did they make that food not go bad? Because whatever makes a food not go bad is going to cause a problem in your body.
Okay. Now, let me get back to the fruits. My favorite fruits are strawberries, grapes, and cherries.
Okay.
Yum.
So, plenty of good stuff in there, but there's plenty of concern in pretty much everything you just said. Of them all, the cherry is probably the least because it has the lowest G index of what you just said. The strawberries are higher, and the grapes are about the highest you can get. It's almost pure sugar. But there's good stuff in grape, too. Resveratrol is in dark-skinned grapes. So that's a powerful, powerful medication, a good, healthy chemical in your body. But it's, where do you draw the line as far as getting enough resveratrol compared to how much sugar you're getting from a grape?
Well, now, let me ask you something, getting back to neuropathy. How does all this relate to neuropathy?
It all relates to neuropathy. Too much sugar is going to cause a problem.
Right.
Tying up detoxification pathways in your liver and throughout the different detox pathways in your body is going to cause a problem. You have to give that nerve good circulation, good oxygenation, good nutrition in order to repair. And if you're compromising all those different pathways of health and repair, you're going to have a real hard time from getting anything better than temporary relief, and that's where we come in. We systematically support every system that is necessary to build the health, put health back into those nerves with better nutrition, better oxygenation, better circulation, better the healthy chemicals that your body manufactures when everything is working right, that becomes so compromised when you're not eating right, when you're not exercising, when you're not taking care of yourself, when you're relying on convenience and symptomatic relief of the condition instead of actually addressing what does it take to restore health to this tissue, which are two completely different things.
Well, it's interesting because... I'm sorry. Go ahead, Gene.
Well, when Thomas, when you say convenience, you mean fast foods?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I mean, people should be aware that when you're in a hurry, it is convenient, but the problem is that they make it look good, smell good, and taste good, but it sometimes is not that good, right, Barbara? I mean, we all have learned our lessons now and trying to stay away from fast foods if we can. That's probably another lawsuit for us, too. So don't mention any names.
But I do love a hamburger once in a while.
Once in a while, sure.
Oh, yeah,
sure.
With lots of onions and lots of lettuce and tomatoes.
Making me hungry.
Oh, I love a hamburger every once in a while. And I do stop and get one every once in a while, but I don't make it a regular habit.
Believe it or not, for you, the biggest problem with everything you just said isn't the hamburger. It's the tomato, as you call it.
The tomatoes, I know.
The tomato is going to cause you a big problem. It doesn't cause me so much of a problem because we're genetically different enough. But any of those nightshades, they're called nightshades because when they're growing on the vine, the connection to the fruit itself actually looks like a shade, right?
Yes.
So they're called nightshades, but it's kind of crazy what falls into this category. All the different peppers, the tomatoes, and bizarrely enough, potatoes are in the same family. You wouldn't think they are, but they are. So all of those things.
Yeah, that's right, they are.
There's a chemical in the skin and in the seeds of these plants that are highly inflammatory to someone who looks like you, with the red hair and the pale skin and the blue eyes.
I don't have red hair.
Well,
it's blonde-ish.
Close enough. So
blonde, red.
Specifically for your look, your genetic background, these are big problems, and that's most people aren't even aware that they can be causing so much inflammation by healthy foods like whole grains, like tomatoes.
And chocolate.
Chocolate is not a real food.
No, but it's not good for you.
Cacao is actually amazingly good for you. What chocolate starts off as. The problem is that the chocolate that you buy in the store probably doesn't have a whole lot of cacao in it. It's mostly artificial flavors and sugars and things like that, and dairy. All of those things can cause problems.
It's a treat for me to have a piece of chocolate, especially dark chocolate.
So if you could get some form of cacao that you're okay with, the highest percentage of cacao that you're okay with, that gives you that fix, that chocolate fix, without any of the other stuff, the milk products in the chocolate and the sugars in the product and the artificial flavors, the artificial vanilla flavor and the artificial emulsifier to make it melt in your mouth like that is usually soy-based. Big problem for a lot of people. If you can get some kind of unrefined cacao that gives you that chocolate mix, you're getting the best of both worlds, because cacao is actually really good for you.
Where do you find it?
You can get it at Whole Foods. You can get raw cacao at Whole Foods or any health food store.
Okay.
But I'm telling you right now, it doesn't taste like chocolate. What you think chocolate is has nothing to do with cacao.
Okay, well, we need to take another break. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, 98.1 FM, AM 1220 KHTS.
Loss of hearing can affect the quality of life. Santa Clarita Hearing Center can help. They specialize in both preventative hearing loss and corrective measures, including diagnostic tests, new technology hearing aids, cochlear implants, hearing protection, and tinnitus treatment. They can adjust your current hearing aids or fit you for new ones. Santa Clarita Hearing Center also offers sleep molds, swim molds, and musician monitors. Book an appointment today. Log on to SantaClaritaHearingCenter.com. Located on McBean Parkway next to the hospital. That's SantaClaritaHearingCenter.com.
Finding the right auto body shop can feel like a never-ending search.
It's more than a job, it's a hobby.
Caesar, owner of Body Shop 661, your one-stop body shop.
Out here in Santa Clarita, I like seeing my cars driving around. It's really a passion.
More than just repairs. Body Shop 661. Trusted, reliable, respected for over 16 years in the Santa Clarita Valley. Visit bodyshop661.com or give them a call, 661-251-2252.
Hi, I'm Miles McNamara, Certified Senior Advisor and owner of Comfort Keepers and Home Care. Our caregivers help you in your own home. A Comfort Keeper can provide companionship, meal preparation, medication monitoring, assistance with personal care, transportation to doctor appointments, all enhancing your independence and safety in the comfort and privacy of your own home. So if you or someone you love could use a helping hand at home, call Comfort Keepers at 287-4200. That's 287-4200.
Finding the right lawyer can be a challenge, but in Santa Clarita, there's no need to search when there's Hacker Law Group, Santa Clarita's premier litigation firm. Jeffrey Hacker has represented celebrities, financial institutions, accident victims, real estate developers, realtors, contractors, businesses, nonprofit organizations, and other individuals and companies with their legal challenges. Mr. Hacker is one of Santa Clarita's leaders, consistently listed as one of our most influential. When everything is on the line and you need legal counseling, visit hackerlawgroup.com.
It's like no other station I've ever listened to. It's great.
Your hometown station.
Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64?
Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Dr. Jean Dorio with my co-host Barbara Cochran on your hometown station, AM 1220 and 98.1 FM KHTS. We're talking with our esteemed guest, Thomas Polucki. And, you know, we've had a great discussion about, especially about, what was it, nightshades, I think you mentioned, about tomatoes and potatoes. And, you know,
chocolate.
It's great to talk about shades. And, you know, I think I'm a shade of gray at this point. So going back to, going back to what Barbara was talking about and her peripheral neuropathy, I think, Barbara, you had mentioned that you're also getting the neuropathy in your toes.
Yes, my toes have started getting pins and needles. I don't get it in the rest of my foot anymore, but I've been doing the red light that I got from Dr. Polucki and chiropractic treatment, and I also started the cryotherapy because I was told that that would help. And the combination of the three, I don't have any neuropathy in all of my feet, in any part of my feet, except my toes have started tingling a little bit, which is very annoying, and it's mostly at night when that's the worst time. Because I can't keep jumping in and out of bed all the time. My kitty cat doesn't like that.
It could mean that you can't have those hamburgers anymore as well. But I think Dr. Polucki has there's a lot of common sense here that we're hearing. And, you know, the unknown part about peripheral neuropathy is I just don't think it's known enough. They don't know enough about it. And I think we're on track with our discussion today. And I think it's important that as we look at the treatments for it, that we look at alternative treatments that don't hurt you, and treatments that could help and minimize side effects. That's the important part that, medicine has to look at presently. And as patients and seniors who might be listening, they have to know that there are alternatives. And I'm glad, Dr. Polucki, we have you on the show so people understand this concept.
Thank you.
So where do we head with Barbara's toes now?
Well, I'd like to start off with, because I was not aware of this. I had thought that we had eliminated the neuropathy for you. So this is news to me.
Well, it just came back in my toes.
Okay, so the first thing is a consultation. We're going to examine you. Now, for our listeners, I am offering a virtual exam. So this is crazy. We've got this neuropathy exam that is more specific than anything that any one of my patients who had been treated for neuropathy for decades have ever seen. And we've got it to the point where you can perform the exam at home. We send you the test kit, which is a standard neurological exam kit, but I take you step by step through the process of testing it and grading it yourself on a video, and then you grade the score, and then we go over the results, and we go from there as far as how bad is this, what types of nerves are being affected, and what is the best course of action in order to give those nerves the right nutrition, the right treatment to rehabilitate, instead of just hope for some temporary relief, but actually get health back into those tissues.
Yeah, that sounds very reasonable. I mean, it's the same approach that I take in evaluating my patients. And of course, nowadays, understand it's really difficult to have virtual exams. But, most of what we get from our patients, about 80% is through the history taking. And there are some things that I, in doing teleconferencing and telemedicine, that I can ask my patients and get the vitals like we talked about earlier with blood pressure, temperature, pulse, and things like that. So you're really not losing a whole lot in the conceptual side of having a virtual visit. You're just not. So for those who might be listening, I think it's important. And Barbara, I know you will take advantage of this, but, I think it's important that we understand, once again, going back to alternative and different kinds of treatment, you have to be open-minded. But since medicine is not, and we don't know a whole lot about it, I think that what the approach that Dr. Polucki is taking is different, but it works a lot better than what the usual medicine has to offer. And so if there are individuals, Thomas, who are listening who might be interested in your approach, how do they get a hold of you?
Well, you can talk to me in person, or we have a secure link online to discuss your biggest challenges with neuropathy. More importantly, find out if you're a good candidate for our program. I know some specialists charge a lot of money for this service, and a lot of people are miscoding things to get it through on this whole new COVID insurance thing. We don't do that. I would do it for free, but there has to be some kind of an exchange for the value of the information. So we're doing this for $49 for a neuropathy consultation, but you have to call 661-753-9340 to schedule.
That's great. 661-753-9340. Great conversation. Dr. Thomas Polucki, a person who I trust and understand where he's going with this much better than general doctors do. And, if you're having trouble with your toes, and you're Barbara, you are, consider 753-9340. Thank you very much, Dr. Thomas Polucki, for being on our show.